9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
Say his name and he appears. I believe it said.
Happy Monday, everybody. How's everybody doing? It's your mayor, and I'm here on a Monday. Yes, you're not having to adjust your screens. This is not a joke. This is not a facade or mirage, any of that. The mayor said he'd be here on a Monday, and the mayor is here on a Monday. And this is the Go Home Show for WrestlePalooza, the very first WrestlePalooza history-making PLE that will be airing on ESPN. If you guys are filling in the chat, I know it's late. It's 11:32 Pacific Standard Time. Had a long day. Not gonna front with you. I almost did not do this, but the mayor keeps his promises. The mayor worked all day, but he wanted to make sure he gave you guys a post show since we didn't do WWT live earlier. And we're sorry about that. We'll be back Wednesday because there's a lot of news that I want to discuss, especially like the sudden release or departure of Andrade, and some thoughts on SmackDown kind of being a creative wasteland. We'll get into that, but let's talk about Monday Night Raw. I thought from a wrestling standpoint, this was probably the best Monday Night Raw we've had in a very long time. We kicked off the show with the greatest of all time, John Cena. And if you weren't excited for Cena versus Brock Lesnar on WrestlePalooza, I mean, John knows how to sell a fight. John can really sell a fight. Being not that far from his hometown in Springfield, Mass., he gave the crowd something to be excited for in this final final bout with Brock Lesnar. And basically saying that he could have ran away. He only has 6 dates left. Could have went to somebody more deserving, but he's going to go into the fight because it's a challenging fight. And one thing he said that really stood out to me, the funny thing about my jorts are stronger than your jeans, but that he's been taking these ass kickings for the past decade plus, and the Suplex City doesn't matter. He's taking his best from Brock Lesnar. So I'm actually excited to see what they make happen. I remember being at the show where Brock Lesnar first returned and targeted John Cena, and that was just dope. I mean, I think it's not main event worthy when we talk about the return of AJ Lee and the mixed tag we're going to get, but we'll see where they put it on the card. But John Cena sold the hell out of this fight. He only has 6 dates left. And I think what he said in front of the crowd, like he usually does, he ties it all in together. Like, why are we getting Brock Lesnar? We now know why. And we now know John is not going to run from this challenge. And he's going to give us a fight. And since it scares him, since Lesnar scares him, he's up for the challenge. So I'm you know what? I wasn't here for it, but his promo, Springfield, Mass., now I'm here for it. And some good stuff will come from it. I know we saw at the beginning of the show, we saw LA Knight and Jay get into it. One thing I did like, a wrinkle that we're seeing from these GMs, more so Pierce, letting LA Knight know that his pockets will be hit if he doesn't obey his command. I think we got to do that more since we're going to be on ESPN more now. Blur in that line of sports where you can be fined a certain amount of money for missing time, interfering, or going against the grain of authority. I think that's a really good thing. And I think that's something that we can really, really lean into. First match of the night, Lyra Valkyria taking on Roxanne Perez. Banger of a match. Kicked off the show very well for in-ring action. I thought the reveal of Bayley returning was interesting. And now we're seeing this kind of a 3 faces of Bayley thing where she can be the role model, she can be the hugger, or she can just be herself. And tonight we saw a glimpse of the hugger. She did the elbow drop in the corner, did the wave thing. I don't think I've seen her do that in way before the pandemic. So whatever we're doing, it seems like Bayley's very invested in the character, especially with what we saw later in the evening where she was playing up to the schizophrenic role, and you heard the role model backstage calling people stupid idiots, stuff like that, but she was just talking to herself when Lyra was trying to thank her. So whatever they're doing, and shout out to Bayley for rocking the AJT as well on her way to the ring. Seems like we're going to get some tag team action with Lyra and Bayley taking on Raquel and Roxanne, and this could be a good feud away from the title. I think that's what I've always said. We need more rivalries away from the title picture for our ladies and our men, especially since we have a big match with Io and Stephanie taking place this weekend as well. I would like to see. I want to see Lyra go for the big title eventually. Maybe she can be Stephanie or Io's first challenger. But we'll have to see what shakes out. And we know that now Lyra is replacing Tiffany tomorrow in NXT Homecoming because Tiffany is not cleared from her match with Jade on Friday. But Roxanne's been picking up some big wins lately. That was probably the first time I've seen her lose clean in some time. But I think we'll get tag team action coming up next with these 4 ladies. Next, after that, we saw a backstage confrontation, which pretty much set up Stephanie Bakura to be in her first action in a long time. All the rumors are dispelled. She was learning English. I'll drop it from now on. But the Kabuki Warriors, specifically Asuka, kind of ruling with an iron fist over her friends and throwing Kairi into the fire to take on Stephanie Bakura after Io and Steph had an amicable showing saying they respect each other and they're going to put on a good match. I would like to see what's going to happen. I still think Stephanie's going to win, but what's happening with Asuka slowly kind of being the boss of Kairi and Asuka both showing like a respectful fear of Asuka. I wonder if that means Asuka is going to go on her own rampage eventually and just start nerfing everybody. Don't know. Interested to see how it plays out. They did just drop new Kabuki Warriors merch that looks pretty dope. Go cop it if you haven't seen it. But Kairi, her comedic relief, she came back and was on a heater, like winning. I think Kairi is long overdue for a singles title on main roster, but she is the epitome of like just taking what's given to her and just excelling. Probably the best character on the roster as far as emoting, like doing the punches and squaring up with Stephanie. I thought that was great. So everything we're getting with Asuka yelling Kairi and Kairi being scared and the jump scares and all that, like it is awesome. And I'm looking forward to see more of it and what happens exactly with Io. Like, is Io going to turn the corner and join her sisters in this seemingly heel turn and be bullies, or is she going to go against Asuka? Either way, I'm here for it, but we did get Stephanie versus Kairi officially tonight. Now for the New Day. And I believe we saw the New Day in action at AAA, well, part of them, last Friday, where we saw Kofi and Waller against your AAA Tag Team Champions, and they came up short. We're now seeing Penta taking on Kofi after they interrupted Penta's match last week. Great match, banger. I think Kofi probably gave us a late entry for meme of the year after taking a Mexican Destroyer and pretty much knocking his lights out, but blinking, kind of the death stare blinking. And Penta picked up a victory. Good veteran thing by Kofi to make Penta look amazing there. And if you did follow the show later on, the New Day did attack Penta after the match. The War Raiders tried to make the save, but were too late. I like that we're telling a story away from the tag team titles. Honestly, I don't know what we're doing with the tag team titles. It's hard to remember that Finn and JD are champions at this point when they rarely defend and it's rarely brought up in the orbit of the whole Judgment Day stuff. But Kofi, Woods, and now Waller doing phenomenal heel work. I hope they get rewarded. I hope they get another shot at the tag titles, whatever it takes, because the heel work is phenomenal. Waller being a part of them as Big G is great too. I hope that something comes of it, but now it seems like Penta is going to need more allies, whether that's the War Raiders. I did mention at the top of this feed that seemingly Andrade's gone. We'll speculate on that on Wednesday. But maybe it's time to move Rey Fenix over to Raw to help his brother against the New Day. And that would seemingly revive the tag team division away from whatever the Judgment Day got going on, just holding up the division. But Penta picked up a win. And backstage, we're kind of seeing the transition of main event Jey Uso to maybe Tribal Chief Jey Uso. Pretty much saying like, nah, don't team with LA Knight tonight. LA Knight did call his shot and say he wanted to be square with Jay by his brother tag teaming with him against the Bron Bronze. And unfortunately, that was the main event. I know Councilman probably didn't take much chagrin with that, which was putting the Bron Bronze in the main event on Raw for probably the 7th straight episode. Who knows? But Jimmy basically told Jay, I don't see no Ulafala on your neck. So going back to the Ulafala, it's still relevant. Roman's out. He's hurt. Obviously, he's the owner of the Ulafala. But Roman, before he left and got taken out, he put the battery in Jay's back, said, hey, this is about us being on top. So Jay's listening to that. He realized that. He wants to be champion again. And Jimmy's like, hey, we got to help our peers, and it's not going over so well, which we'll talk about in a minute. We got the face-off with the mixed match challenge we're having this weekend. CM Punk, AJ Lee, Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch. Great war of words. I think it was good that Becky kind of carried the promo work along with AJ Lee. AJ Lee leaning into her crazy, saying she's unpredictable. You don't know what to expect from me. And at the end of it, we saw AJ Lee take her first bump in a decade. So we know that she's more than ready for the weekend, but I like that we ended that segment with a little bit of trickery by Seth pretty much using the words we saw with CM Punk when AJ Lee returned, saying that, hey, luckily I have somebody to hit a woman for me. Becky cowering, saying like, hey, nah, I didn't start this. You started this. I thought it was going to be some husband and wife dispute, but no, it was an elaborate plan. And the man slam was delivered to AJ Lee. That sets us up for the weekend. And of course, AJ will get her hands on Becky. CM Punk will get his hands on Seth. And we'll have to do predictions because I think this is probably not just going to be a one-off. I think it might be a way we get more than one mixed tag team match, but also it's going to be a precursor for AJ Lee challenging for the Women's Intercontinental Championship at some point. But I love that Becky's kind of doing it's not a good thing to do, but I mean, she's playing into this whole, everybody says I'm the greatest, not just me, Sports Illustrated, ESPN. That's totally her ripping off Trump. So kind of hilarious. And I like that Seth did jump in and say, I say it all the time. So good promo work. And Seth and Becky are doing a great job of building up AJ and Punk as like the cowardly heels that don't really want to fight. They just want to talk shit. So I think it'll be a good match, and we'll see probably AJ Lee looks like she's in phenomenal shape, if I'm being honest. I think we'll see some great in-ring work in this match overall that will tie into whatever's going on with the Vision versus everybody else. I think eventually you might even see, this is just a thought, you might see intergender war games. I can really see an intergender war games take place really between maybe the Usos and Punk and AJ versus the Vision. I can totally see that. I don't know where LA Knight fits into that, but it's something that can possibly happen, be the first one. The crowd was very much into this segment, and I think it really built the hype for this probably being the main event at WrestlePalooza. I want to say my favorite moment of the night was the Kyrie moment, but damn it, Big Grande wrestled a match. Big Grande was in action. He took on Dragon Lee. Speculation about Dragon Lee, is he on his way out? There's only a few months left on his deal. We don't know what's happening. Obviously, AAA partnership plays a role in that and featuring him more. He was in action at AAA, came up short in that match, not being crowned the champion. El Hijo Dr. Wagner retained his title. But Big Grande, who got some new music, by the way, put on a great match with Dragon Lee. This was a banger, of course. And then we saw the Spider-Man meme come to life because all these new El Grande Americanos, at first I thought it was Finn and JD that were helping Dom, of course, but we don't know who these men are. Like I tried to look underneath the mask. Is it Pretty Deadly? Who might it be? I don't know. So if you have guesses, like throw them in the chat. But Big Grande has a faction now. It's definitely not the Creeds because they were smaller men. But Big Grande picked up a win against Dragon Lee with some help of his counterparts, the other El Grande Americanos. And honestly, if you want to say whatever you want to say about Kaiser, like, I don't know how well it's received in the States, but damn it, in Mexico, Big Grande is received very damn well. This was a great match. And even without the doppelgangers, like, you didn't need it. What Dragon Lee and Grande were doing in the ring was special. And it was in the perfect spot in the card where you needed some hard-hitting action. And also, like, what Dragon Lee brings in the ring as a luchador. Some of the stunts, the double stomps, the hard-hitting. It was a great match. And I thought Obviously, AJ Styles coming out to try to help Dragon Lee. Maybe that's a partnership that'll continue to flourish over the next several weeks. But it seems like Big Grande is not making many friends because, as we saw later in the evening, the Judgment Day, namely Finn Balor, wants to know about the relationship with Dominic Mysterio and El Grande Americano. And he said there's not going to be any more Judgment Day help until he spills the beans on what Grande wants from the Judgment Day, even though they were trying to celebrate Dom being a double champ. So could this be the first time we see a straight up split of Judgment Day? I don't see it, if I'm being honest. I think the WWE is too cowardly to actually break up the Judgment Day. They did reference, Raquel actually did reference Liv, that they're doing everything as Liv would want. Dom's double champ, tag team goes in Judgment Day. And of course, the women's tag team titles might be back on the way. But Finn is obviously trying to draw some type of wedge between what's going on. Ooh, Ryan, that is a very good guess. That is a strong guess. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate could be the other Americanos. But what would be the motivation for them to be the Americanos? Do you feel like that's just like the NXT UK background there? Like maybe since they all know each other. Of course, Pete Dunne now has cut his hair, if you guys haven't seen that. He is doing some producer work, but them as a tag team, because they're still a tag team, still a signed tag team, they have been working on Main Event. But that is a strong guess. And I like that guess a lot because it would give those two guys something to do. Just like this character has empowered Ludwig Kaiser to kind of get over, show some depth. I think that would be phenomenal as a faction, if I'm being honest. I did mention that we saw Valkyria overheard the shouting backstage. Bayley seemingly had turned from the hugger, after hugging everybody ringside, she turned into the role model, yelled at Valkyria, said, "You didn't even knock on my door." So we'll see what happens with the multiple faces of Bayley. Next up, we had our match, Valkyria versus Kairi Sane. And obviously heading into a big women's world championship match, Valkyria was the winner. No slack of Kairi, if I'm being honest. Kairi looked amazing in this match like she always does in every match and took Stephanie to her limits. There was no shady business or cheating in this match, but Stephanie played the hits. Everything that you remember about Stephanie Valkyria being badass, she did in this match, from the Devil's Kiss to SBD, even hitting a dive to Asuka and Kairi outside the ring. She played all the hits to dispel anything about injury or anything wrong with her physically. Like, she's ready to go. And you can tell, like, if this was Naomi, this would have been like a heavyweight bout for real, because it's a toss-up who would win. I still think it's a toss-up between her and Io, but Valkyria looked very damn strong in this match heading into WrestlePalooza. And I think down the road, you might see some beef with Asuka and Valkyria. Valkyria did get approached by Asuka after the match, and then Io had to come up and get between them and say, like, "Hey, no, don't do this. I want to do this alone." We'll see that plays into Saturday. If Asuka goes on her own word and tries to help Io win, and maybe Io loses and they attack Valkyria after the match, and it's like, "Hey, like, I told you needed my help," type of thing. We'll see. But it's a really good storyline that I can't wait to see play out. Before the match, we did see Rhea Ripley approach Stephanie and say, like, "Whoever wins, I'm coming for you next." And of course, Rhea, Stephanie, as well as now the newly added Lyra, will be taking on Fatal Influence tomorrow night at NXT Homecoming. So, like, this is just a very strong Monday Night Raw. All in all, extremely strong Monday Night Raw. And Valkyria looks like one of the best wrestlers, not only in the WWE, but in the world. So her against Io, who I've said repeatedly that Io is the best wrestler in the company. No way that's not going to be probably the best match of this weekend at WrestlePalooza. And then we get our main event, the Bron Bronze, taking on LA Knight with his tag team partner, Jimmy Uso. And that tag team didn't work out. They came up short. The Bron Bronze were victorious again as your main event of Monday Night Raw, and they put on the attack after the match. They took out LA Knight, And then also we're getting ready to take out Jimmy Uso, hit him with a spear. And just when we're about to get these damn tsunamis, this is what pisses me off. We're about to get these damn tsunamis. And then Jay, of course, makes the save. Saves his brother. They clean house. Rinse and repeat like we've seen the previous few weeks. The only difference is now LA Knight got his lick back on Jay by hitting him with a BFT before we cut the credits and get up out of here. And now Jimmy's looking confused, like, why you hit my brother? I thought we was good, blah, blah, blah. It's like, we're doing this thing. I will say this. Yeet versus Yeah, whenever they do it, I don't think they're doing that Survivor Series. If there's something happening between, it's September. Survivor Series is November. Whatever's happening in October, Yeet versus Yeah can be a dope main event just for filler, wherever it's at. It can be a very dope main event, and I think they should do that because the crowd is going to be hot for it. Jimmy is then this triangle now where he has to pick his brother or choose the greater fight versus the Vision. But Braun's victorious again. I am now feeling like the councilman where I don't think the Browns need to be main eventing every week. We could have got this out of the way at the beginning of the show because there were so many other dope matches on this show, from Penta to Kofi, Roxanne and Lyra, Stephanie and Kyrie was a dope match. We could have finished with any one of those matches outside of this same Vision versus the roster thing that we're doing. But I mean, it was a good Monday Night Raw, good go home show for the week as we get to WrestlePalooza. And one thing I want to know, I mean, Ryan, you had a very dope guest about Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Why the fuck is Bronson Reed's alternate finisher called a Jagged Edge? I want to know. I want to know if he came up with that himself. Is it a play on the musical act? I have no idea, but that should have me weak when I heard them say Jagged Edge and he got a pinfall. By the way, we're heading towards WrestlePalooza. I know kayfabe, we did like a mock booking of what the matches will be. We now know what the full card is. There might be some more additions come Friday on SmackDown. And of course, like when WWE Live comes back on Wednesday, we'll get into more of NXT Homecoming. There is going to be a watch along tomorrow night with your councilman. He has assured you that. So make sure you check that out because it's going to be a dope homecoming card with a lot of your main roster stars integrating with NXT. Of course, you'll have your CEO Wednesdays because that's a big thing. I know you guys love that. And of course, the Honey Night SmackDown on Friday before we actually get to WrestlePalooza on Saturday. And I think we're going to be doing a WWT After Dark, but of course, we're going to get you your WrestlePalooza predictions as well. You see this QR code in the upper right corner. Make sure you go get some merch. We also got a coffee link. Check out some of our WWT Live episodes to get that link to try some Savorista coffee. And we're just doing a lot of dope stuff, man. It's the end of the year. I know we got the LA Comic-Con. So if you do live in the LA area, I know myself and the councilman will be there getting content, grab an interview. So come say what's up to us. TK is in Bangladesh again. Who knows when she'll return? Who knows? But we'll be back later this week for WWT Live. More watch-alongs with NXT, AEW, SmackDown on the way, and there will be a WrestlePalooza watch-along again. I want to make sure I got this to y'all before midnight because the mayor's tired. The mayor's famished. The mayor's about to go to bed. So I appreciate y'all for staying up so late, wherever you guys are at. Thank you guys for rocking with me. I really appreciate it. And I'll be back with you guys Wednesday evening for WWT Live. This is Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 network on the planet for women's wrestling. And I'm your mayor. Good night, y'all.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WW Talk Pod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.